All right.
We ready?
Welcome to the Kindness Chronicles, where we hope to inject the world with a dose of the Minnesota kindness that it desperately needs. We're in the basement studio. It's a little chilly down here, so I've got my blankie.
Yeah.
Everybody has access to a blankie if you need it.
So
We've
Minnesota.
got Steve Brown here.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Steve. We got Jeff Hoffman, Senior Director of Engineering.
Oh, hey.
And yeah, it's really coming together for you.
His title keeps changing.
Yeah, this is a clown car episode because we got Michael Dempsey here with us today. Hello, Michael.
Man, I cannot be happier to be here. It's so nice.
And we have a very special guest, Kevin Gorg, with us.
Wow.
What do you mean special guest? I'm one of the guys on the show. Don't give me that crap.
I know. You've just been very busy. And then we're going to visit with Shawn Kor from the Eagles Healing Nest here in a second. But, KG, it is so great to see you.
We don't even recognize you. It's so good to see you.
Unbelievable.
You know what? You're a busy guy. This is a very busy time of the year.
Yeah.
We do our things on Tuesday nights. You work on Tuesdays. It's fine. It just happens to work
Hockey
out.
doesn't stop for the Kindness Chronicles.
No.
It does not.
But just a couple of things. One is, first, I want to acknowledge that it was very nice of our friend Paul Allen to mention the Kindness Chronicles on his 9 to noon show.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, listen to that. That's very nice.
Quiet, you guys. Quiet.
But it was very nice of him to mention it. We actually saw a boost.
Did we?
In our downloads
Oh, wow.
as a result
Thank
of
you,
that.
Paul.
So
Wow.
thank you, Paul.
That's great.
But KG, you've been probably having just about the most fun you could ever have being a guy working with the Minnesota Wild. What's it been like being on the road with those guys?
Give us some stories.
Yeah, the vibe's been really good. No doubt, it's so much easier to do all the jobs around the team when they're winning. I know we had Matt Benz on a few months ago, and he talked about just the different atmospheres when a team is winning compared to when a team is losing. It's a great bunch of dudes. We've talked about this. A lot of kindness in that locker room. And I think when you see new players come in, we've seen Quinn Hughes acclimate here in the last 6 weeks. They all say the same thing. It's a super easy group to get along with, and everybody in that room is so welcoming. And so I think it does tie into our show, and I think it ties into the success they're having on the ice. It's been a difficult schedule. There's been a ton of travel. These guys have just kept that train going. And even though right now they should have 1 foot out the door, they've continued to win here into the final week before they all head off to their vacations or to go represent their countries in the Olympics here starting next week.
We were just talking about we're going to try and get Patty Brooks, Herb's
she's
widow,
fantastic,
to have her on with us, or maybe Herb's daughter, who is a local
girl.
Kelly Paradise is fantastic. So,
John, let me just say one thing real quick, because this is part of my role on my part-time job on this podcast.
Yeah.
If our listeners have not taken the time to go to Netflix and watch the documentary that just came out last week on the Miracle on Ice in 1980, I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen every single documentary up to this point. I've seen the movie Miracle 50, 60 times. I've hosted a bunch of charity galas and golf events with the players from that team, and I thought I knew everything. This specific show blew me out of the water. It's one of the best documentaries I have ever seen. Whether you're a hockey fan or not, Steve Brown, you need to watch this documentary on Netflix.
I will.
Wow.
I love that team. I loved what happened. I actually never saw Miracle, though, but I will watch this.
You're kidding me.
I know I haven't.
Gosh.
I will watch this.
Wow.
KG, I promise you, and I'll have a review for you.
So good.
You remember KG's story? It was your birthday, right, KG?
It was my birthday party that night.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so
and you didn't watch it until I remember.
So I listened to the game. It was a tape delay broadcast on ABC at 8:00, and the game was live on WCCO radio in the Twin Cities at 4:00. And I was having like 7 or 8 of my buddies over. My birthday is February the 20th, which was a Wednesday. We're not going to do a sleepover there. So the 13-year-olds were coming over on that Friday night. And the pizza party, we're going to watch the game. And my dad's like making fun of me for listening to the game on my transistor radio in my room. And he's like, they're going to get killed. You're wasting your time. Typical, negativity. And bottom line is, when they win, my parents both look at me and like, oh, shit. They're like, you can't spoil this for your buddies because
Right.
none of them are going to know. You know, it's hard for kids these days to understand there was no internet. Unless you turn the news on, you didn't get the score. And so my buddies all show up. None of them knew what was going to happen.
Really? Did you make bets with them?
No, I didn't take advantage of it financially at age 13. I probably should have. But bottom line is watching them watch the game, and then me too, seeing it for the first time after listening all day. It is one of those moments in time as a sports fan you really never forget.
Well, we're going to have – go ahead.
I need to clarify. I meant I didn't see the movie. I saw the game. We were watching it.
Oh, I understand.
No, we knew.
Yeah,
we knew
you
but I'm still can't believe
You're
American,
okay.
my God.
You're okay. You're still a good person.
Right. Yes, I am.
Let's switch gears. We have a special guest with
Yes.
us. We have a
Returning
return
guest.
guest, our second returning guest ever
We're on a
the
roll.
podcast.
That's
yes.
a big deal.
They want to come back?
Either that or we're just running out of friends. That could be it. But we have with us today Shawn Kor. Shawn has served as the executive director of Eagles Healing Nest, which is up in Sauk Rapids, Minnesota. And he is pivoting out of that position. In fact, I had the opportunity to meet his successor yesterday, of course, over lunch. One of my favorite things to do is to have lunch.
Of course.
And Shawn will tell us a little bit about the gentleman that's taken his place. But Shawn, thank you and welcome to welcome back.
Welcome back,
To the Kindness
Shawn.
Chronicles.
Hey, thank you for having me. Everything that I've done throughout my life has led me up to this moment. Special.
Us too.
I always like to say it's really coming together for you. This is
good.
it's all working
Right.
out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think it is. I think it's amazing. Can I start with
Please,
a question?
absolutely.
Can I just before we really launch in and go deep, Shawn? Just for our listeners that didn't hear you the first time, can you tell us a little bit about the organization and what it does?
Yeah, so absolutely. We're the Eagles Healing Nest. We're located in Sauk Center, and is what we are is we're a board and lodge with special services, and we take in veterans. We take in veterans that are struggling with either PTSD or mental health or addiction issues, and we take them in. We stabilize them. We get them started in some level of programming, whether it's IOP, whether it's getting them set up at the VA. We do what we can to facilitate moving forward or moving them forward to where they need to be.
Hey, Shawn, what is IOP?
Instance of outpatient treatment.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Yeah.
And
Cool.
Just give us a little history of Eagles Healing Nest. When did that start? I think it started, didn't it originally start in Anoka? And I made a kind of a crass comment that it was at the loony bin.
No, Mel.
Wow.
Mel Butler started the Eagles Healing Nest in Sauk Center in 2012, and for a while they did work with an organization in Anoka and tried to branch out. It didn't work due to geographical concerns, but now currently since 2012, the Eagles Healing Nest has helped over 1,800 veteran service members and their family members.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so we've got our spot up in there in Sauk Center, and we've also got a small sober living house in Redwood Falls, where some of the folks go after they've gained some level of stabilization to try to continue on. But it's a great program. You know, I'm a veteran myself, and I've seen all the different options out there for veterans care, and this is one of the most unique ideas in veterans care there is.
Hey.
The Nest. What's that?
Hey, Shawn, I knew the place in Anoka because it was neighbors to Stepping Stone Emergency Housing, and I was on that board for a while, and it was the building next to it.
So it was the former state hospital.
Yeah, right. In Anoka, there's a lot of amazing buildings there. So I'm a little bit familiar from that perspective, but what I'd love to know is how many residents do you have at capacity, and what's the intended length of time that they would stay with you? Is it 6 months? Is it 6 weeks? Is it as long as they need? How does that work?
Okay, so we can take up to 83 residents up at our Sauk Center location, and we could hold another 31 down in Redwood Falls for some aftercare in a sober living facility. Our average stay right now is right around that 1 year mark if you take the outliers out. And is what we're finding out, one of the things that the Eagles Healing Nest has always kind of touted was that we don't put a timeline on recovery. And past that being a great catchphrase is what we're actually learning is part of the reason so many of these other efforts fail that are out there, these programs fail, is because they're putting a timeline on it. 2 months. After 2 months of this, we're going to send you back. After 3 months of this, we're going to send you back. After 6 months, we're going to send you back. And is what we're really seeing, not just in the veteran community, but in the recovery community in general, is these folks recover on their own timeline. And it's not about learning some tools to help you recover. It's about figuring out how to make a complete lifestyle change, start from square one and move forward. That takes time. So we don't want to push people out before they're ready to leave. So it is one of the things that make us unique is we don't have a length of stay that we tell people they're going to be there for. They're there until they're ready to leave.
No pressure. That's good.
And you mentioned the programs. You have a number of different programs that the gentlemen that are staying there can participate in. Could you tell us a little bit about what those programs are?
Yeah, we do. So we operate under a peer-to-peer model. So a lot of our classes are veterans for veterans. It's just veterans teaching veterans. Some of the veterans that have been out there for longer are working with some of the newer veterans out there to help them get back on track. We offer art studio, music studio. We've got a rock shop. We offer some of our own in-house programs, but really what we do is we facilitate. We're a board and lodge, and we're a transportation service. So when we have veterans that come to us and they're homeless, they don't have driver's licenses, we encourage them to set up all the appointments they need to at the VA, and we'll transport them back and forth in our vehicles to make sure they're getting to their appointments on time. You heard me mention IOP earlier. We actually lease out a space on our campus to an outside IOP. So they're their own LLC, but they operate right on our campus for the comfort of the people that live out there. We had another nonprofit, Guardians for Heroes, set up out there that does some equine therapeutical practices out there with some of the folks. That's been a big hit. So it's really facilitating with other outside organizations and providing the transportation to get our veterans to where they need to be to heal.
Hey, Shawn, that amazing background, and thanks for taking us through that. How'd you get into this role as executive director? I mean, it's talk about kindness. I mean, I saw your background, really esteemed career in the military, big play in the recruiting space. You probably recruited thousands of soldiers out of Minnesota, and then you find yourself doing this. Tell us how this happened. How did you get here? Where did you grow up? I mean, start there.
Well, I grew up in Worthington, Minnesota, the land of the cornfield forest down there in southwestern Minnesota. So could not wait to turn 18 and join the Marine Corps even to get out of that area of the state. Started out there, deployed a couple times, small deployments in the Marine Corps, came back, went to college up in Bemidji, Minnesota. I always really loved Minnesota. I always say I've been around the world 4 times and wind up back here. Love Minnesota. I came back here and went to college in Bemidji. I was in the National Guard part-time while I was doing college. And when I graduated college, I was looking at a couple different jobs. And one of the leaders in my unit said, you should take a look at doing the National Guard full-time. I didn't even know there was a full-time National Guard. So I said, all right, I'll take a look at it. I'll do it for a tour. One thing led to another, and I just kept working through those channels and working through that career choice. And I wanted to be in a pretty rewarding career that had me. My last office was down in Northeast Minneapolis as the Recruiting and Retention Battalion Command Sergeant Major. I retired in 2023, and while I was in the process of looking at retiring, I went to a golf benefit for the ranch Teammates for Life with the colonel that I worked alongside with. And while we were there, I ran into a lieutenant that I had deployed with. Hadn't seen him since the deployment. I heard he fell on some hard times, asked him how he was doing, and he's like, well, yeah, I'm out here with the Nest. What's the Nest? And he had told me about this place that's literally 30 miles down the road from my house that I've never heard of, even being a command sergeant major. And I'm like, well, that's amazing. And he told me about all the great things it had done for him. So we parted ways, and I told him to give me a call if you ever needed a volunteer out there and they needed help doing something. And he had called me and didn't know what was going on. He had just said that I know that they're building a new board. Would you mind if I put your name in the hat to be a board member? And I told him that'd be fine. And I sent in a brief bio on myself. And the board that was there at that time had asked me if I'd actually be interested in being the executive director because they needed somebody out there. And I kind of laughed because my first response after retiring in the military, I said, no. I was like, I need to take a step back for a little bit. And I talked to a few of the folks that were out there, a few of the residents. And the theme that I heard was the same with every one of them. It wasn't talking about what they had learned out there. It was just, this place saved my life. And it was almost nonchalant. It's like, I wouldn't be here if this place wasn't here because this place saved my life. And I heard that enough times that I was like, wow, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I don't want to see a resource for our veterans like this fail. So I told them that I would come out there and do what I could to see if we could keep the train back or get the train back on the tracks. And talk about full circle. Here we are a couple of years later and some change, and run into some family issues of my own that I can just step back and take some time with my family to help them through. And the individual that I was speaking of that got me to come out there, through his own journey after he was done at the Eagles Healing Nest, took on the role as a director for the ranch Teammates for Life and built up his resume and built up his skill set, and is now taking over the Eagles Healing Nest, which was there to help him along with all those other veterans. So
and what's his name?
Tommy Snell.
So Tommy was the guy that originally recruited you to be on the board. They did the bait and switch, took you out off of the board.
The bait and switch, as I'll call it.
The bait and switch, and now you're flipping it on him, and he's going to be the executive director. Speaking of the ranch, Teammates for Life, Kevin Gorg here has a special relationship with the ranch. Kevin, do you want to speak a little bit about your history with the ranch?
Yeah, I've worked with them for a couple of years, and I mentioned the guys from the 1980 Miracle on Ice team, and in honor of one of their teammates, Mark Pavlich, who took his own life, they have, in conjunction with Eagles Nest, got the ranch set up for, well, hockey players and people around sports that are also going through some hard times in life. And so to hear the stories and specifically, we get together usually at the end of summer, and we have a golf tournament and then a banquet, and we raise a bunch of money. And to hear the guys from that team that played for Herb Brooks talk about Mark Pavlich, and this past year, part of his family was at the event and told some great stories about what a wonderful guy he was. And so in honor of Pav, in conjunction with Eagles Nest, there's a hockey side to this. And I think it's spectacular because I think, like the military, hockey players are tough guys. They're tough, tough guys, tough gals, whatever. And they don't think they need help. And a lot of times they put themselves in a really dangerous spot because of that toughness they've always been, taught. Just rub a little dirt on it. Let's go. You get back in the game, get back out there and do your thing. And so this, to me, is incredibly powerful to hear the great work that they're doing. And now they had people come back, Clint Malarchuk being one of them, who attempted suicide, former NHL goaltender. For people that maybe don't follow hockey closely, I think people from back in the 90s saw that skate blade that hit his jugular.
He was the guy.
And literally almost died on the ice. And he had a lot of stress after that. And thankfully, with the help of this place and the work that these folks do is doing great now. But there were some tough times. Just one example of many of players, hockey players that have been touched by this. So yeah, it is a wonderful facility. It's an unbelievable setup, and to hear the stories and to see the family members come to these events, it's pretty powerful.
Shawn,
yeah, and it's been great working with them.
Yeah, they're good people.
Is the ranch right on the same campus, the same property?
It is. They leased a house that they fixed up from us, and Mark was out there, and one of the things that we found out is that yes, there's lots of differences between being an athlete, professional athlete, amateur athlete, and there is being a soldier or Marine or airman. But one of the things that they have in common is that when you're talking about TBIs, I mean, the TBI doesn't care what career path that you're on. It can cause the same damage down the road. Lack of life skills. We look at a young 17-year-old that leaves his house to join the military. He can be in the military for 10 years and not learn the basic life skills because that stuff's done for him while he's there. Just like these young kids that take off to go play hockey in other towns, they might be making millions of dollars, but it doesn't mean they ever learn how to cook for themselves. Right? So when you're done with your career, when that career, whether it's professional sports or the military ends, and you don't have those life skills, that's one more stress that you have to deal with. So that's some of the stuff that we get together with the ranch, and we try to teach our guys and impart on them out there at the Eagles Healing Nest.
One of the other things that I feel like the Eagles Healing Nest probably provides to the people that you care for, as well as at the ranch, is when you're on a team or when you're a part of a group of Marines or soldiers or airmen, you've got your guys, you've got your people. And when you're no longer in it, I would imagine that there's a great amount of loneliness that exists once you depart from that lifestyle. You know, there's
there is.
And
The camaraderie of being on a professional sports team, I can only imagine is similar than that of the camaraderie of coming up in a military unit. And yes, you can sit there and jump to unit or team to team and rebuild and refine that camaraderie. But once you leave that element and you're back in the civilian world, you run around lost and you don't know what you're looking for. But one of the things that you're looking for is that camaraderie.
Very cool.
Which I'm happy to say I found back here on your podcast.
Fantastic.
Wow, that was good. That's a shill that I love. What are you going to do now, Shawn? Just speaking of the podcast, are you going to start a podcast? I heard Wooden Sticks is looking for guests. I'm not sure.
There we go.
I am not going to start a podcast. I might start charging John for guest appearances.
There you go.
You were going to pay
no, I'm going to
exactly
maintain an active
what we pay
role on the
everybody
board.
else. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
I'm going to maintain an active role on the board. There's a lot of the initiatives and stuff that me and the board have put in place for the Eagles Healing Nest that I want to continue to drive forward. And still, I want to see the Eagles Healing Nest. I want to see the ranch. I want to see these organizations grow so they can continue to help people because the need's not going to go away.
Right. How do you guys? I have two questions. One is, how does somebody enter the nest?
Great question.
Meaning, are they brought? Is there a sign up list? Waiting list? I don't want to oversimplify it, but how do you get a spot, a coveted spot? And then maybe if you have a story of somebody that you saw, enter the nest and completely turn it around, kind of a success story that you can share with us that you got to experience personally.
Yeah. So the way that you enter the nest, it really is word of mouth. And the other thing that makes us unique is we don't have to check people's insurance documents because again, we're a privately funded organization and we operate on a sliding scale. So for us, it's about getting the individual help as soon as we possibly can. So if somebody calls the Eagles Healing Nest and has somebody in crisis or in crisis themselves, the first question we have is, where are you? And if they're severely in crisis, we want them to call 911. We want them to get help right now. We want them to get stable and we'll come get them. You asked about success stories. One of the ones that I have is actually had an employer called us and he's like, hey, I got one of my guys. He's a great guy. He's a veteran. He's out in Indiana. And he is in a hotel room and he won't come out. And he's been drinking for days. I'm telling you, this guy's a great guy. We called him, after about the course of 3 days of talking to him on the phone, he finally said, he's like, yeah, you know what? I need some help. And he's like, but I don't know how I'm going to get to you guys. And we were like, we'll come get you.
Oh my goodness.
In one of our vans and we drove over to Indiana.
Wow.
And we picked him up and we brought him back. Got him settled, got him stable, got him enrolled into IOP. That individual is holding down a very successful job now. He chose to stay right in the central Minnesota area. And this is about a year later since he's been there and he's thriving.
Oh my goodness.
That's fantastic.
3 days. You're calling the guy, hanging with him, almost like a hostage negotiator, right? Trying to get him.
Thinking.
That's amazing.
Develop the trust
I've
and the rapport.
I've never heard of that. That's an incredible story.
Well,
Thanks, Shawn.
and if that ain't kindness, I don't know what is. But the last time, Shawn, you and I had lunch, you said, I have to go because I'm picking somebody up in the parking lot of the Walmart in was it like a Walmart in St. Cloud?
Yeah, it was the Walmart in Sartell.
To bring him to the nest. So
yeah.
Wow.
So it really
is incredible.
It's just absolutely remarkable. Do you have I guess supply and demand, I guess is the question I'm looking, do you have more
Capacity, maybe?
capacity than you need? Do you need more capacity? Are the needs greater than your ability to supply?
I would say right now, during the winter time, we've gotten to the spot to where we almost have to run a waiting list. It doesn't last for long. So I would say our capacity is fine right now. When we talk about wanting to grow the nest, we really first want to start out with quality. What can we do to put work into the buildings? What can we do to increase programming? What can we do to come up with new programming? So again, we want to be that organization that the veterans want to come to and that they know about. Right now, I think we're good for capacity. The other thing that's inspiring is the need is growing, but you're also starting to see other organizations out there that do similar to what we're doing. and I was telling you this yesterday, John, that rather than this idea of competition out there, I mean, the folks out there trying to help veterans, they just want to come together and help as many veterans as possible, which is what it should be.
I think that's amazing. One question, you and I chatted, Shawn, before we made the connection with my brother, who you know. He was on the podcast about a month ago, and he was sharing, and I saw this as well, with all of the deployments, and some of them very long, soldiers would come back and they would really struggle immediately after for the camaraderie, all of the reasons that we've discussed. Have you seen the demand diminish because there's been lots of education on mental health and there's better awareness on what people are struggling with and how to struggle, and more of an openness to be vulnerable? Has that caused demand to come down, or are you seeing an increase in demand? I'm just sort of curious.
No, I think I don't know that I see demand going down, because there is still, it's one thing to understand that need for camaraderie. It's another thing to be able to find it somewhere.
Yeah, right.
But when you're talking about the invisible wounds from combat, when you're talking about TBIs and PTSD, these are things that they might not necessarily set in for a decade or 2 decades after an incident. So that's why I don't believe, and it's just my opinion, I don't believe that we're going to see the need go down anytime soon, because I don't believe that we've seen all the effects.
If anything, the education maybe helps bring awareness and maybe increases the tips that are fed to you and brings that about.
Yeah, I am seeing more veterans that are willing on the front end to say, hey, I need some help.
That's great, actually.
Yeah.
Shawn, I have a question for you. If I remember correctly, when we talked to you last, there was an element that I was very interested in, and that is that music plays a part of your group, right? Did you say that there are people there that play guitar and they hang out and they sing together?
Well, just to add to kind of refresh the memory, I think John had maybe stumbled into the chapel, which he was really a fan of, and there was a band playing Marshall Tucker music.
100%.
And actually asked them to come play for the Heritage Center, and they said, no, we're going to stay. But
yeah,
I was intrigued because there's a whole recruiting or recording studio and everything. So
just the idea of healing. Music is such healing, and I thought, remember you mentioned that, so give us a little more about how that works.
Yeah, we've actually got a very nice music studio set up out there. We've got folks from the public that'll come out and want to record in it or use it once in a while, but we have that open multiple times throughout the week for people. If they know how to play, there's plenty of instruments down there to come and play. If they just love music, there's couches down there for them to just sit and listen. But it's just a place to open up, get people down there, get them around music, and just have a conversation. And that's that camaraderie, whether you're an athlete or a warrior, and you sit down on the same couch together, you've got music and you've got something, and you can build that camaraderie.
From a programming perspective, any musicians come up and do any teaching or just sessions, master classes?
We have had a couple. We'll get somebody and if we get somebody that wants to come up and teach a basic strings class or teach a basic class, we facilitate a lot of that stuff.
I wonder if we could get a guest from the Johnny Clueless band to come up and
talk to my drummer, I guess.
Yeah, we probably won't do that. Up. That's
no, that's not what we do.
That's terrible.
I'll look for some qualified musicians. Maybe not me, but some qualified people.
Yeah. Non-drummers.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Tommy, your replacement. I can tell you, for starters, now as you look at Shawn, all 13 of you that are watching us on YouTube, Shawn's a good-looking guy, great head of hair. He's got nothing on this guy. This guy looks like Stalin. He's got this thick head of hair. He looks almost like he could do a Gavin Newsom thing with it. Wow. Really good-looking fella.
So goes with Tommy. I mean, when I think of a Tommy, this guy looks like a Tommy.
But really a great guy. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned about his leadership abilities since you've been connected to him.
Yeah, and he's another individual. He came up through the military on the enlisted side. He made it up to the rank of captain on the officer side. So he's got those leadership background in the military that he's able to rest on, and he's worked professional jobs his adult life, so he's able to get out there and navigate that world too. I brought him to lunch with John. That was kind of a test to see how that would go. And John didn't eat him up too bad, so I've got hope.
So I want for those of you that are members of the Masonic fraternity that are listening to this podcast, one of the things that we're doing this year is, for years we've always talked about how I believe that one of the most important things that we do is our matching grant program, our ability to essentially replicate the philanthropic desires, if you will, of members of the fraternity. If they go out and raise money for a particular organization, we will match those dollars, dollar for dollar. We have a number of mission grants, Eagles Healing Nest being one of them, Crescent Cove being one of them, MACV, some of these other organizations, where we just make a grant and we say, see you next year. This year, what we're going to do is we want to encourage members of the fraternity to learn more about those mission grants that we've deemed to be worthy of their consideration. And we will match whatever money that they make in addition to what we give them as a mission grant. So Shawn will hopefully have a presence at least one day up at our annual communication. If anybody has any questions about the Nest, hoping to have somebody there from Crescent Cove, who had their gala this past weekend. Apparently it was fantastic. Jack Morris and Joe Maurer were there.
Oh, wow.
The twins were the Harmon Killebrew kind of started that.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about them another time.
Yeah.
But again, Shawn, I am grateful that you were willing to come on with us tonight. Just so impressed with you. One of the things about Shawn is he commands a crowd. Like when he speaks, people really do kind of lean in and listen. We had him come and do a presentation at our board meeting, and it was just incredible. He didn't have really any notes. He just spoke from his heart. No, I mean, that matters. He's sort of like KG in between periods. You're not reading one of your placards, right? You're a professional.
He's living it. He knows it.
But
I'll tell you, that's a lot more difficult what Shawn is doing. And I guess my last thing would be for our listeners and even our viewers here that are suffering through some of our mugshots. Is there a website, Shawn, where people can find out more about this place if they want to get involved and make a donation, or if they want to spread the word? How would people get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to take a look at us at eagleshealingnest.org, please take the time to check out our organization. And to the 13 viewers watching your guys' podcast on YouTube right now, when we are able to operate the way that we do, because again, we are privately owned entity and we take private donations and corporate donations. We don't take money from the government because we don't want to turn into another government entity.
Amen, brother.
Good for you.
So when you donate to the Eagles Healing Nest, it's what allows us to drive 3 states away and pick up somebody that's in crisis from a hotel and drive them back.
Cool. Great.
Oh, cool.
That's very cool. And just to be clear, while there are only 13 viewers, we do have a heck of a lot more listeners. We'd have 0 viewers if we weren't on YouTube.
It's subscribers. We
subscribers.
We have way more viewers than subscribers.
I don't know how any of that stuff works, but I'm just happy
Smash that button, basically.
Get to see myself from this angle. I don't look that bad in real life.
Yeah.
You're talking and I can't even see you. I don't know who's running the camera here, but it doesn't match who's talking.
Yeah.
You know what? You'll get over it. It'll be fine.
It'll be good in the final edit.
Shawn,
there
this is
he is.
There he is.
there we go.
Zoom in.
So, okay, turn it away. You know what?
We decided to have cameras on this.
Thank you, Shawn. KG, stick around. We've got a couple more questions for you, and we're done here. But with that, off we go.
Thanks, Shawn.